Yo, Gen Z, I think we're starting to get old, man. So I just took my sister, who's in high school, down to the pizza place here in town to put in an application. She gets out, does her thing, gets back in, and I love listening to rap music. So she goes, "You like songs with good bass? I know an old song with good bass." Let me mind you, she says old. And I said, "Yeah, what is it?" She was like, "Hand me your phone." I handed her my phone. She plays a song. Then all of a sudden, I hear, "He, her, he, her." The Box by Roddy Ricch is old. I looked back at her and I was like, "You're playing The Box, Aaron, by Roddy Ricch." She was like, "Yeah, I like this song." I'm thinking to myself, "You said it was old. Wasn't that only like 6 years ago?" And what's going on? We're not that old, man.
Yes, you are. As a matter of fact, yes, you are. You are that old now. It's 2026, so Gen Z, they're looking around like, oh man, where did the time go? But that's what happens, you know? I can't even talk too much. Like, I'm 26, so I feel it. Like, I'm in the same boat. It's crazy. You know, you grow up and you hear all the old adults, they be like, oh, what you know about this song? Oh, you don't know nothing about that. But now that's us. Now that's Gen Z. We're talking about, oh, this isn't that old. And what you know about this? To these Gen Alpha kids, to these younger Gen Z kids. But getting past the 25 mark, people look at you different. Now you're old. It's crazy. It's kind of tough, but at the same time, I definitely understand. Now, what he's talking about is a cultural divide now. And that's something you're just going to feel as you get older. The songs that you listen to, the music, the media that we grow up with, the styles, the influences that we have, we're going to see these transform. We're going to see these change into something totally different. And then we're going to look like what happened to the world. We're going to look like what happened to music. Music isn't as good as it used to be. And I think that's a growing sentiment nowadays. As a Gen Z, older Gen Z, I should say, I was born in 99. So I remember the world before, you know, the internet. Like I grew up with the internet. YouTube came out in like 2006 or something like that. So I really remember going to like the movies and seeing the blockbusters, and they were real hitters back in the day. Nowadays you go to the movies and yeah, there's some decent movies out, but they just don't hit the same anymore. With music especially, music has changed so much. I'm big into rap and rock, but listening to how music just changes over time is adding to it, because now you feel so old. The songs that shaped your teenage high school years and gave you all your memories, all the dances and stuff. So seeing that, you know, all of our media is now being outdated, treated as something, you know, a relic of the past, something that isn't important anymore, you get that fear. You feel that distance now. You see, oh, maybe I'm old now. Maybe it's not my time to shine anymore. Maybe I had to let other people shine. It's time for the new generation to shine, and it's scary to let them shine. You think you still in your glow, but no, you're old. But no, you're just old. We're gonna talk about this a little more. The cultural thing, yeah, we definitely understand that, but it goes deeper than just culture. Because then your body starts to change, and that's when the fear goes from, you know, you know, oh, I'm not that old, I can still get around, I'm a spring chicken. It goes from that to, oh no, my body is changing. Oh no, I'm deteriorating. So we're gonna look at some clips about that. We're gonna try to keep this a little lighthearted and funny. If you like what I got going on here, make sure you drop a like, drop a follow, comment, all of that. I'm the Big Crash Theory, and we back at this again with another one. Let's go, yeah!
One thing I will say about growing up, I notice new things every day that make me realize I'm growing up. It's like a second wave of hair that comes on your body when you're getting older, and it comes in weird places. Like, why are my nipples more hairy now? Huh? Like, is that a survival thing? Like, why my nose hair is getting longer? Questions. Like, I looked at my nipples one day, it was a jungle on there. What's up with that?
Getting old crazy, man. You would mess around and sneeze, and gotta call out work. Gotta call out work. I'm talking about bad locked up. Bad locked up from the sneeze. And I know that sounds crazy, because if it ain't never happened to you, it sound crazy, bro. But you legit sneeze and your whole day just changed.
Damn,
your
son.
Whole day.
Now, what they said is just true. Now, I think it was like this week or last week, I was in the bathroom, you know, doing my morning routine and stuff. I look in the mirror and I got nose hairs, like full nose hairs coming up out of my nose. Now, it wasn't, you know, inches or nothing like that. It wasn't crazy, but I could definitely see my nose hairs coming out of my nose. And I'm like, yo, I'm only 26. What's really going on here? The hair thing, yeah, you just get hair everywhere. I'm not sure how this goes for women, but for a man, you just get hair. You get hairier as time goes on and it gets longer. Now, I've never dealt with any gray hairs or anything like that. Not like a lot of gray hairs. Like every now and then I might have a gray hair pop up, but I can't even remember the last time I seen a gray hair. And that's mainly like due to stress, and stress will age you. So as you keep, you know, seeing more body changes, you get more stressed and then you age more. So it's like a continuous feedback loop. It sucks, guys. It really sucks. I understand, you know, seeing the body changes, and then you really understand that you're getting old. You know, you can't even do the same activities that you once did. Like what he was saying, like you sneeze wrong and you might really hurt yourself. I've never had, you know, a bad sneeze, but one day I woke up and my thumbs were just hurting. Like I'm like, what's going on with my thumbs? Like my thumbs just hurt. I slept wrong. Like 2 days later, my thumbs were fine. My thumbs are still fine. I've never had that problem. One day I just woke up and my thumbs were sore. And I'm like, how did I sleep wrong? Like sometimes I sleep wrong and you know, you get that crick in your neck, whatever it's called, that your neck hurts a little bit. You slept on your neck wrong. How do you sleep on your thumbs wrong? Apparently, when you get older, anything can happen. So you gotta be careful even when you go to sleep. You get too old, you can't even sleep right. These are the type of changes that Gen Z is dealing with, and it's scary. Because you grow up, you know, at least from my perspective, you grow up and you keep hearing how Gen Z is the new, and how Gen Z is lazy, they're young, and you know, they don't care about nothing, and you kind of hear this narrative growing up, and being online, you hear it constantly. I think Gen Z, being the generation that was first online, kind of exacerbates this feeling of getting old, because you sit on the internet interacting with your peers, interacting with older generations and seeing the distance, and you're like, yeah, we're still cool, we're still, you know, hip and young, but not the older, like, no, some of us are really 28, some of us are really 27 pushing it, and we can't keep having this mentality of, I'm just a child, I'm just a kid, I'm still young and hip and spring, I still got time. We can't keep having these conversations, keep having these type of thoughts when we got real body changes. We having real struggles that older adults have. It's not to say, you know, your whole life is gone now, you're just too old, you can't do nothing no more, wrap it up. It's not to say that, but it's definitely something we have to appreciate. We have to start acknowledging the fact that we are just getting older and just settle into it. I think Gen Z will be like the first generation to have like real existential problems, real financial dread, real interpersonal deterioration as we get older. I think just the fact that we are getting older and we've been so deluded into believing that we are young and hip and stuff like that, I think that is going to cause even more problems for most Generation Z. I'm not saying, you know, it's all doom and gloom, but at the same time, I can call a spade, you feel me? Anyway, we gonna listen to what he has to say about this, because yeah, we're getting older. We're getting older and we're seeing the rules and the roles shift. So let's see how Gen Z is really operating nowadays.
This is just a reminder that the oldest Gen Zer is gonna turn 30 next year. So when we're talking about children in school, right, the youngest Gen Zer is 14. So the youngest Gen Zer is in like, what is that, 8th grade, right? The children are now Gen Alpha. So all those iPad kids, Bluey and all that, like that's Gen Alpha now. There are no millennials that are in their 20s anymore. That's gone, right? Gen Z, we're the new millennials. I say all this to say that when people are discussing Gen Z, they tend to refer to Gen Zers like they're children. There are Gen Zers who are now politicians, right? There are Gen Zers who are fathers. They've been fathers for years, mothers for years, right? They're now teachers. They're now in the workforce en masse. You know what I mean? Like, we're now functioning members of society. So the discussions about Gen Z need to shift to more adultish things, right? Like, a lot of people are still discussing Gen Z like we're, 15 playing on PlayStation. Like, that's not what's going on anymore. That lady that's running for, is it Congress or Senate? Kat, as I'm not even gonna try and pronounce her name, but that lady is 26. You know what I mean? Like, she's a Gen Zer, and she's gonna be responsible for representing people in her district at 26. That's all age groups in that district. You know what I mean? So, yeah, we have to stop with addressing Gen Zers like they're children, because that's harmful to them. Obviously, I'm a Gen Zer, so I have skin in the game. But yeah, it's just weird. Like, it's just weird hearing like some Gen Xer, some millennial, some boomer saying, "Oh, Gen Z's, all they do is TikTok, right? All they do is social media and memes." And it's like, bro, there's Gen Z pilots. You know what I mean? Like, there's Gen Z everything now. Gen Z police officers. I have friends that are police officers. I have friends that are pilots. I have friends that, like, nah.
Now, like he said, the oldest Gen Zer is about to turn 30. And we know 30 is the peak. 30 is when, society says that you should have it all together. At 30, you should be fully functioning in your career, doing what you gotta do every day. But Gen Z, this economy, the situations that we find ourselves in, we're not matching that stereotypical societal pressure. We're not matching it yet. So there is a great sense of displacement with Gen Z, I would feel like. There's a great sense of we're not where we're supposed to be at yet. And you can feel like that, but you still hold a very essential job. They was talking about how essential workers, back in the day, we got truck drivers that are Gen Z. I used to drive trucks, and when I was 22, I didn't really understand the weight of what I was doing. I was like, yeah, I'm just driving trucks. I'm just doing what I got to do to get paid and pay my bills. That's all. But then I would sit and I'm thinking, in my truck, I'm like, no, what I'm doing is delivering America's goods. Especially during like 2022, 2023, it was, it wasn't as bad back then. You know what I'm talking about. It wasn't, the height of it, but at the same time, we were still recovering. We were still trying to get back. So I'm like, no, what I'm doing is providing goods for my community around me. I might do 2 loads in a day or something like that, but those 2 loads got $600,000 worth of goods. So Gen Z, as we step into these roles, firefighters, police officers, teachers, architects, stuff like that, we also have to understand that we're not just paying bills. This isn't McDonald's. This isn't Walmart. This is real societal structure. We're building infrastructure. We're keeping systems going. It's not just you're not just in your own world anymore. You're contributing to society, whether you understand it or not. But coming to the realization and sitting with that is what's going to elevate you from, oh, I'm just, a kid playing around, biding my time, versus, no, I'm an adult and this is my time now. I need to continue to shine. Like, I need to get better, because you know how this economy is right now. So there is, for a lot of Gen Zers, even though we do very well, there is still a feeling of catching up that needs to be done, What he said was very true. We got politicians that are Gen Zs now. And we just have to sit with that fact and realize that as Gen Z, our impact isn't cultural anymore. It's not about the songs we make. It's not about the TV shows we premiere in. It's about what we actually contribute to society. Me being a RBT, I understand that fully. I help people. I create solutions. Work through emotions with people. Children. But it is a very necessary role in society. We need to teach children how to manage their emotions. Especially in the ABA field. The ABA field is still pretty new, so I feel like I'm really on the ground floor of something, starting up. I could get into, the whole thing, but I really just want to focus on the fact that we do hold very essential jobs in society now. And Gen Z just can't be talked about as if we're children. We're not lazy. We're not always on TikTok. No, we got real jobs, you know? Now, some Gen Z, I can't speak for the whole generation because, you know, there's still younger ones in there that are still coming up and still in high school and stuff like that. And the funniest thing about generations is that there's an older version of a generation and a younger version of the generation. Like, you think millennials, there's older millennials who act more like Gen Xers, and there's younger millennials who act a little bit more like Gen Z. I think with millennials and Gen Z, we can see this split just pronounced even more because of the technology age, because the technology age really split generations up, even if you are in the same generation technically. The difference between younger Gen Z and older Gen Z has been talked about to death. Like, the difference between us is great. It is a great difference. So I understand where older Gen Z at least is coming from. We do hold a lot of power now. We do hold a lot of responsibility. And that's just something that, you know, as time goes on, that's just only going to increase. We're just going to become more and more responsible for how society turns out. We can't keep looking towards the Gen Xers and baby boomers like, oh, you guys messed it all up. Oh, you guys are no good. Oh, you guys pulled up the ladder. You guys didn't do anything for us. No, we're the adults now, and we have to make the decisions for those older people. We're the adults now, and we have to decide where we're going to head in the future because those people won't be around anymore. The older generations just won't be around. I know right now it's not reflected in society. The things I'm saying just isn't 100% realized in society right now, and that's one of our problems. As Gen Z, we need to get over that hurdle in understanding our power and taking it over and making sure that we are running our society. Because we got a younger generation behind us, especially if you Gen Z with kids. Like he said, there's Gen Z mothers and fathers that have been mothers and fathers for years. So if you got children and you know, holding a responsible job, you really need to understand that you are building the society for your children to live in, for your children's friends to live in. I think Gen Z needs to come to that realization of community, that realization of passing down the torch. It's just something very important. So along these lines, while it's very important to understand, you know, that you have power in society, it's also important to understand what you're doing with your life. We should be contributing to society, and we should be making sure the generation under us is coming up in a healthy environment. But at the same time, we have to realize what we're really here for. We have to understand fulfillment at the same time, because sometimes you do these things and you just feel empty inside. And we're going to listen to somebody talk about that and elaborate a little bit more on that. So check out what she has to say about that.
Okay, you know what really scares me about life? Is growing old and not accomplishing anything. Like, imagine that. Like, I know, and I've met some people that they are old and they have accomplished nothing in their life. Like, how can you stay comfortable where you are? Like, don't you want to grow as a person? Don't you want to become a better version of yourself? Like, why?
Now, when I get on the internet, I feel like that's a sentiment Gen Z has a lot. This feeling of purpose, this feeling of I need to do something with my life and become something. And because of the media that we grew up with, especially like Disney Channel and stuff like that, they really taught us, you know, be a star, you know, you're important, you're special, you have a talent, you need to go out and become a shining star, you know. So sometimes it swings a little bit too far into individualism, where it's like my achievements is only, you know, what I can personally satisfy within myself versus what I can contribute to society. But at the same time, you know, we look at some people and they have no personal ambitions at all. You know, I can respect somebody who's like, oh, I just want to sing all day, and they actually go out and make their music and, you know, they put it out and they're trying. Whether they get results, the results they want, doesn't matter. They're actually going out and they're doing it. I can respect that. I can respect somebody who says, oh, I'm not gonna make my music because I just don't want to, or, you know, it's not, you know, financially smart for me right now, but I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna start trucking. I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna get into medical school or something like that. I'm gonna start doing something in society. I can respect that. What I cannot respect is somebody who has no drive at all. And I think that's something we see a lot nowadays, especially with, how can I say this? The rise of degeneracy. We promote a lot of substances. It's just seen as okay nowadays. Like, yeah, sure, it's been decriminalized and everything like that, but at the same time, these decriminalized substances can drain you of motivation. And now people think, as long as I'm doing this, I'm gonna be straight. The rise of homeless people out on the streets falling over and bent over and stuff like that because they took too much has risen. You look at places, especially Asia, I believe it's Japan. I believe in Japan they have like a district just full of people who are strung out. So it is a growing concern within our generation. And yeah, we can even look at older generations and see, this guy, he's a bum. These guys deadbeats. They don't do nothing. They just outside all day. And that is something that scares a lot of Gen Z. It's something that is toxic to society. We should be contributing and making sure that we're not progressive. I guess so, but we should be contributing to society and making sure that we're making the world a little bit of a better place. But some Gen Zers, some people in general, don't have this sense of urgency. For me, yeah, that scares me. I wake up and I'm like, man, I need to go do what I feel like I need to do. I need to get out here and talk. Like, yeah, I go out and I make changes in the world, with my secular job, but there's also a part of me, personally, that needs to be fulfilled. There's a spirit in me that needs to get out. Nah, I don't want to take that too far. But there's an energy that I am trying to convey here, that I'm trying to get out and make sure that the world understands, that the universe feels it. That's how I see the world, at least. Having a purpose is something that's a little elusive to me. I don't believe in objective purpose. I don't believe life has an objective purpose. I believe everything finds meaning through perspective. Whatever you grow up in, whatever your environment was growing up, how you found yourself as an adult, those are the experiences that shape what your purpose is, how you find meaning in life. So as long as you have a drive towards something productive, I can understand and respect it, but I also see why so many people nowadays feel like they have no chance at all, no shot in hell, because of the environments now that we face as adults. I believe the feeling of I have no purpose, I have no meaning in life is slowly starting to change to it doesn't even matter to begin with. And that's a scary sentiment to have, because if you don't even feel like it's worth trying, then you won't try at all. And then what does that mean for society? It's a very cascading effect, and this is something that I've been sitting with, 26 years old. Even I had to look at my own past and be like, you know what, I was acting kind of selfish in my past. I was very individualized, but growing up, me being 26 now, I really understand the impact of society, how important society is, how important community is, and how important it is that I am giving as much as I'm taking. Because we want these things to keep going. We want these things to be there for our families, for our children. So the growing feeling of that is, causing Gen Z a lot of stress, especially the environment and time that we live in. It's just causing Gen Z some stress, causing Gen Z to dread even growing up. What they call it is a quarter life crisis. A lot of people understand what a midlife crisis is. We all hear that. But I think the quarter life crisis has been coined pretty recently. I'm not sure. I haven't done too much research. But the quarter life crisis is something I've only heard recently, I should say. And it makes a lot of sense. You turn 25, you turn 26, and you're starting to look around the world and you're like, oh yeah, I'm not a child anymore. And yeah, they're right. I need to go and find something to do and be progressive, and be productive in life. So we're going to listen to what she has to say about the quarter life crisis, how we can get through it, what it really is, just to help alleviate some of that stress, just so we can understand and relate to each other just a little bit more. Let's see what she got to say.
If you're between 25 and 33 and nothing makes sense to you anymore, you're in the right place and there's a way through this. I was just talking to two of my friends about how we are in the thick of a quarter life crisis. We feel like we have no clue what we are doing with our lives, and we laughed because when we were 24, we thought we'd have everything figured out by now. Instead, our quarter life crisis has brought us a deep fear of failure, loneliness even in a crowded room, disconnection from ourselves, and feeling suffocated by the life we built. If any of that resonates with you, congrats, you are in the thick of it too, boo-boo, and it's okay. Researchers actually see this as a real phase of early adulthood. Most people in their late 20s and early 30s report going through it. It typically shows up when you're leaving school, starting a career, watching everyone else seem ahead, and you start to ask yourself, did I already mess this up? But here is the part that we don't talk about enough. This crisis is often the doorway to a more fulfilling and beautiful life, not proof that you failed. I'm going to say something that might ruffle some feathers here. We are literally never going to know what we're supposed to do for the rest of our lives. You want to know why? Because we are always changing and always growing. That is the point. The problem
What she
is,
said is very true. You know, we're never really going to know what we're supposed to do with our life. I can get into that in a different video. I don't want to go too deep, but there is no real meaning of life. And it's constantly trying to find out what that means as we grow older and have new experiences and thoughts and old ways of being get challenged. Now it's, oh, I gotta find a new meaning now. I gotta find a new way of being now. So I definitely feel what she's saying there.
The problem is, our phones make this crisis so much harder. You wake up, you open social media, and you instantly start comparing your messy in-between with someone's highlight reel. Studies link heavy social media and smartphone use with more loneliness, depression, and anxiety. Exactly what you're already feeling. It's like pouring gasoline on a fire. So how do we push through instead of staying stuck? These are the 3 things I am prioritizing while in the thick of my quarter life crisis. Number 1, gratitude. Once a day, write down 3 specific things that you are grateful for. And disclaimer, tiny, boring, mundane things count. It could be sticky notes, your notes app, a designated journal that you use on your lunch break. Just pick one and actually do it. Number 2 is offline time and some honest introspection. Give yourself 30 to 60 phone-free minutes every day so you can actually hear yourself think. It could be going on a walk. It could be journaling your morning pages or sitting in a cafe without scrolling. Lately, I have been running without music, and at first it kind of felt like a punishment. But at the end of my run, it felt like I had a much needed catch up with a friend. That is exactly what we miss when we try to fill every quiet moment with our phones. We're missing out on time to catch up with ourselves. You wouldn't bail on your best friend, would you? Don't bail on yourself either. And number 3, sleep protection. Good sleep is like emotional armor. You're in a better mood. You make better decisions. You have more resilience. I use Opal to block my most distracting apps so I can't just accidentally fall back into the feed. I run an 11 p.m. to 8 a.m. schedule that shuts all of my distracting apps down while I'm supposed to be sleeping instead of snoozing and scrolling. Your quarter life crisis is not a verdict. You're not supposed to have your entire path mapped out. But if you keep taking small steps in the direction that feels right to you, you really can't get it wrong. If this resonates with you, comment, I'm in the thick of it too. You can screenshot this board in 3, 2, 1. That I am. It could be doing your mortal deep feel of fear. What?
Now, what she laid out was self-help for your mental. What she's talking about is journaling. What she's talking about is meditation. What she's talking about is sleep. We have to take into account our mental stability. If you are not in the right state of mind, you will not make good choices. Like she said, even your sleep. I understand, like for me, if I don't get enough sleep, I am way angrier, way grumpier. I make half-ass decisions. I have to double take and go back and check over things because I'm not in the right mindset. And I think, you know, not even just Gen Z, I think every adult ever has experienced sleep deprivation. But it is so normalized, especially in American society, that you're just tired all the time, that is kind of looked at as a badge of honor. Like if you're not tired, then you're not doing something right with your life. You must be lazy if you're not tired. But no, we need to prioritize how much sleep we get. Like she says, she has an app to limit how much phone usage she has throughout the day. And that's something that, you know, we had to utilize. Scrolling mindlessly for hours and hours does affect your mental health. I know it's crazy because I'm on social media trying to get this across, but me personally, I only use social media if I'm trying to get some content done, if I'm trying to make some content. I'm not saying we should shut out you know, the outside world, social media altogether. It's a very useful tool. It is good to be connected and understand what's going on, but you should not be connected all the time. If you're connected all the time to what's going on outside, then you're not connected to what's going on the inside, and the inside matters just as much. Having that quiet time, like she says, she goes and takes a walk. That's meditation. A lot of people don't understand, like Tai Chi, yoga, swimming, walking. These can all be meditative practices, even cleaning, because you put your brain into what's called a neutral state, I believe. Especially with walking, you put your brain into this neutral state where it's not really processing too much, and you have enough free space to really get through your emotions, get through your thoughts. You're not too stimulated in these activities. Me personally, yeah, I still work out. I go for my walks. I meditate. I do yoga. I sit down in the grass barefoot and sit and think, because it is that important to your mental. You will sort out so many problems in your life and get over so many situations that you thought you'll never get over. And then that freedom, that sense of relief that you feel frees up a whole bunch of energy. So instead of being mad or sad or, you know, constantly giving energy to these thoughts, instead of constantly giving your thoughts these energies, now you can give your energy to something else. Now you can say, you know what? Now that I feel better, I'm gonna go ahead and make that business. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna get started on this YouTube channel. I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna make my first song. Because now the haters are out of your head. Because now the self-doubt has been quelled. You figured it out. A lot of people, especially in today's society, feel like they have to turn outside of themselves to find answers. Western society, I can get into this in a different video. Western society needs to really understand spirituality again, and the role it plays personally, and how that personal experience then translate to your interpersonal relationships, and how the interpersonal relationships build community, which builds societies. So it is very important for everybody on the individual level to be sorted out, mentally healthy. We have to be mentally healthy. Especially as Gen Zers, we grew up on the internet. So we grew up thinking it's okay to scroll. It's okay to see these things every day, all day. But it's really not. It's been talked about to death. We already know that social media causes depression and anxiety. But it's also an addiction, and some people can't let it go. The quarter life crisis is real. It's you have to acknowledge it. You might feel lost in the feeling, but that's why it's important to also be online sometimes, so you can connect to people who are going through the same things as you, so you don't feel so shut out, so you don't feel so alone in this world. So if you're an older Gen Z, or if you're coming up on it, you're Gen Z in general, I hope you find this video. I hope you can find and get some type of knowledge from this, some type of benefit from this, because we do need to stick together. We need to understand our community, talk to each other. I think Gen Z is one of the best generations to ever exist. I might be a little biased, but I think Gen Z is one of the best generations to exist for real. We're hardworking, socially aware, technology wise, we are the most proficient. Like Gen Z, Gen Alpha, they have a hard time using computers sometimes. They don't know how to use files and stuff like that. Gen Alpha is having a hard time reading. I think Gen Z right now is one of the best generations on the planet. And it's not to be, ageist. It's not to be some type of bigot. It's to understand the power that Gen Z holds right now and how we need to go about controlling our society, shaping our futures. I think we go get through this though. I think if Gen Z comes together, we can get through this. We just gotta come together. We have to have conversations like these. So if you understand this and you like what I got going on here, please drop a comment, drop a follow, drop a like, because I got more content just like this coming for y'all. I hope you guys like what I got going on, because I'm just trying to change the world, put my thoughts out there, and hopefully build some type of community around bigger topics. I'm gonna still have the Pop the Balloon videos, like I said. I'm gonna still do the Pop the Balloon, so make sure you look out for that. I'm gonna probably try to get some more commentaries like these out for sure. I love these video game commentaries. If you like this, you in the right place. I got content for days now. I'm building up the library. Anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you for following. Until next time, guys, be safe, be warm, whatever you're doing out there. Stay on your grind, because Lord knows I'm out here doing it. You better be out there doing it too. Until next time, guys.
I don't want to sound morbid or anything, okay? But follow me. Getting older is so funny when you didn't expect to be alive this long. Rock with me, okay? I'm about to be 30. My birthday's coming up. I didn't expect to still be here. That's why everything is so surreal to me right now. Like, damn, we really in this bitch. Like, 3 decades. We still... That's fucking crazy. Do you know what I mean by that? Obviously, I'm good. I'm no longer sad. I no longer want to unalive myself. But the fact that I'm still in this bitch, like, if I went and talked to, like, little teenage me, she'd probably be like, why are you still alive? Like,